Good morning and welcome to Morning Java from a very unhappy Philadelphia. At least however many people hung around to watch the whole thing.
No, not many. I mean, this is kind of just a repeat of the other night here in Philadelphia. I mean, these are just I think it shows for a fact, these are just two teams that aren't matched very well. The Flyers really struggling.
You know, the amazing part is we got to do 4 segments on this. And this series is not interesting. It was not interesting before it began. You cannot match a team against the Penguins that does not have goaltending. And I understand there's other variables in this, but it still just comes down to that.
Yeah, it's the most important position in sports, and the Flyers really haven't had a really good goaltender in, 25 years. I mean, tonight Dave Haxtell finally pulled the plug on Brian Elliott. I felt kind of bad for him, gave up 3 goals. Not all his fault, but the Flyers had to do something to kind of
Make
spark
a
them.
save.
Well,
it's the playoffs. Make a save.
They have bigger problems than the goaltending, I think, at this point, but the goaltender obviously is number one.
Yeah, I just look at the Penguins right now as a team that knows they're going to be able to score in any situation, and you go back to that pressure that the Flyers had, that great couple of shifts in the first period, and then here comes Gino and Phil just boom, just like that. It felt like, in a way, like, remember Jake Gensel's goal against Nashville in the final when the Penguins didn't have a shot for 38 minutes? You're like, really? The first one goes in? But yeah, that's what happened.
That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like a balloon popped in this place. I mean, you finally saw the Flyers. I don't think they got off to a great start, but about the 10-minute mark, they finally started to get that push that they wanted to get.
Doesn't matter.
And they started getting that push, and then Phil Kessel, and then it's ball game.
Doesn't matter. Matt Murray, 26 save shutout. He played really well. He had a couple of big saves early on in that first period, which sounds a lot like what we said after Game 3 here. And he got the result. And I just can't even talk about things that aren't the Flyers' goaltending. But he is still playing well. He
is playing well. That's 4 shutouts in his last 6 playoff games. Obviously, that's going over 2 years.
Sure.
But this is the playoff Matt Murray that the Penguins wanted to see. Remember, at the beginning of this series, there was questions about Murray, about his glove hand in particular. The Flyers haven't presented much of a challenge.
Not among the team. You were talking about the public.
No, we're talking about Joe Public.
There's no questions with the team. One of the interesting remarks that Chris Letang shared after the game was, he said, we feel like when Matt's out there that there's a calming presence about it. I've joked with Matt Murray himself that whenever he's boring, he's at his best. And he actually kind of agreed with that, in his way. He actually sounded boring when he agreed with it.
He can be kind of a boring guy, but as long as he's getting the results that he has, I mean, that's what the Penguins are looking for.
Yeah, no question. When Phil Kessel is told to shoot the puck and he's put on a line with Evgeny Malkin, those things would figure to be something of an oxymoron. However, he did. He had all kinds of, I was tracking them upstairs in the press box, all kinds of chances to dish, in which he normally would have. But he didn't. He did keep shooting the puck.
No, he did. He had 4 shots here in Game 4. That's exactly what Mike Sullivan wanted to see from him. That's why they put him with Phil Kessel. They thought that Kessel was maybe not his most productive, but when he's shooting the puck, they feel that's when he's at his most dangerous.
Yeah, because in addition to shooting, in addition to the obvious scoring chances that are created because he has the devastating shot, he also gains that extra measure of respect for the passing. And I did notice one sequence in the second period where he dropped back in the Flyers zone, looked around, but everybody kind of backed off. That only happens if they're respecting your shot from any angle.
Yeah, and that's what the Penguins have when you have 2 deadly shooters on one line.
Ugh.
I mean, when you can have Phil Kessel and Evgeny Malkin, the Philadelphia Flyers just don't have the defense to stop that, and they don't have the offense to overcome anything they score.
No, they most certainly do not. And let's give a little bit of a nod here, too, to Carl Hagelin as well, who's playing some really good hockey right now on that line. Why on earth would this series come back here? Like, what could conceivably happen for this series to come back to this building?
I don't see that happening, but of course we've seen that in the past from the Penguins where they haven't closed out some teams, especially teams that look infinitely beatable, and this Flyers team certainly qualifies as that. I just don't see the Flyers winning another game.
I don't see it. I'm going to keep being the stuck track here in the sense that you can't beat the Penguins if they're in the mood to win if you don't have a goaltender. I think this game, maybe out of all of them, was the one that underscored that the most.
And I think, honestly, even if you have a pretty good goaltender and the Penguins are playing like they did tonight, they're going to beat a lot of teams.
Yeah, no question about that. We will not be back here for Game 6.